Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wake Up. Let's get right into it, and we're going to start today by playing for you, real quick, a little bit, just a taste of the response from obviously, this big speech that took place this past last night. Trump gave a speech. We're going to play it for you. It's a little bit of a taste of his speech and the Democratic response to this whole situation.
Fellow Americans.
Here it is.
Tonight, I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. As part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. The federal government remains shut down for one reason, and one reason only, because Democrats will not fund border security.
The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts.
All right, before we get to the facts, just some facts about this Trump speech. He mentioned that the crime illegal immigrants committed, like, obviously what he wanted to say is, it's so rampant, it's just happening all the time. This is a big misrepresentation. I mean, obviously illegal immigrants commit crime, but not nearly as much as native-born Americans do. So, I mean, that's a situation that we have to come to grips with. The continued push that to dehumanize and criminalize these people. Also, the drugs that he talked about mostly come through legal points of entry, while we do nothing to stop that. And finally, he, in the Oval Office, said that he would take the mantle if the government shut down. Now let's take in the response from Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer.
The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions. But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall, a wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall.
So yeah, a little bit of an awkward response for the Democrats, not really anyone blowing anyone away. But now take a look at this. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Rachel Maddow. After, and she was really spitting fire here. And that shows you the contrast between the new and the old Democratic Party, and boy, it is a major, major contrast. So, take a look, and I want you just to hear what you think about, what do you think is the more effective response to Trump? Just leave a comment on the episode, because just please let me know.
And no one should feel unsafe in the United States of America. And that includes our amazing and beautiful immigrant community. The one thing that the president has not talked about is the fact that he has systematically engaged in the violation of international human rights on our border. He has separated children from their families. He talked about what happened the day after Christmas. On the day of Christmas, a child died in ICE custody. The president should not be asking for more money to an agency that has systematically violated human rights. The president should be really defending why we are funding such an agency at all. Because right now, what we are seeing is death. Right now, what we are seeing is the violation of human rights. These children and these families are being held in what are called hieleras, which are basically freezing boxes that no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they're being kept on. And Moreover, even if you are anti-immigrant in this country, the majority of immigrant overstays, the majority of the reason that people are undocumented is visa overstay. It's not because people are crossing a border illegally. It is because of visa overstay, which, mind you, he's talking about legal immigration. He's trying to restrict every form of legal immigration there is in the United States. He's fighting against family reunification. He's fighting against the diversity visa lottery. He's fighting against almost every way that people can actually legally enter this country, forcing them to become undocumented, and then he's trying to attack their undocumented status.
Yeah, that's such an important point from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and that is very, very powerful. Absolutely, just like if you want to talk about destroyed, that is something that you could, I think, very safely call destroyed. All right, that's what's going on. Yeah, President Trump, he escalated the fight over the border wall. Meanwhile, across America, President Trump's speech on Tuesday painted a bleak picture of the border, an area prowled by the vicious coyotes, which he definitely thinks are actual coyotes, not the people that the coyotes are actually called down there, and ruthless gangs. Before the address, the Times sent correspondents to the Mexican side of the border and to 4 states on the U.S. side, which is very interesting. They also found few who shared the president's sense of alarm. I mean, the president is not feeling his sense of alarm shared from the American people because the American people aren't all far right and don't hate immigrants coming to this country. Like it's being proven time and time again. Like they're doing this here from a place of hate, and it's really I wonder when it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon, but I think he's going to have to come to the realization eventually that the country is just not with him on this. And just because he sees it all the time on Fox News, just because he hears it from Stephen Miller, from Ann Coulter, all those people, does not mean the country is actually with him. All right, Paul Manafort, the President Trump's former campaign manager, shared polling data during the 2016 presidential campaign with an associate tied to Russian intelligence, according to a court filing unsealed, I think, by accident on Tuesday. It's the clearest evidence to date the Trump campaign may have tried to coordinate with the Russians. Manafort's lawyers apparently made the disclosure by accident, again, while by responding to charges that he lied to prosecutors while working for who were working for the special counsel. The document also revealed that Manafort may have discussed the Ukraine peace plan with the associate on more than one occasion. So it's very suspicious there. Another angle to the story, though, is that Natalia Veselnitskaya, the lawyer from the Trump-Russia meeting, she was also charged, interestingly enough, in a separate case showing her deep ties to the Kremlin, and that took place in New York. Just quickly, though, before we move on, just very sorry, just going to skip back here to the government shutdown. There won't be paychecks for this week for 800,000 government employees caught up in the shutdown, and that is something that is going to hit a lot of people hard. So just be sure to remember that. So Beijing made a number of trade concessions in the hopes that President Trump would end the trade war. Last month, China dropped retaliatory measures on American-made cars and started buying U.S. soybeans again. It is vowed to end the corporate espionage and allow foreign investors into more industries. But the Trump administration is worried China will not follow through on its promises. So are they going to keep pushing? We don't know. 3 days of trade talks ended today in Beijing, and the two sides hope to finish the deal before March 2nd, when higher American tariffs are set to kick in. Another interesting thing going on right now is that there are more women over 50 in the U.S. than ever before, according to Census Bureau data. They're healthier, working longer, and having more income. Some of the more notable women right now today that are still killing it out there. Donald Shalala, above 77, a Congress representative. She's, I think, just got recently elected, or no, I don't know. But, Nancy Pelosi, Susan Zirinsky will take over CBS News in March, and Glenn Close just won a Golden Globe for Best Actress, and she's 71. So, Susan Zirinsky, by the way, is 66. Other news, Turkey snubbed John Bolton. Not great. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, sorry to all the Turks out there, refused to meet the U.S. National Security Advisor on Tuesday, saying he had made a grave mistake in demanding that Turkey protect America's Kurdish allies in Syria. So, Okay, made a grave mistake. This is so threatening from Turkey. Yeah. As many as 1.5 former felons in Florida have had their voting rights restored as a ballot measure approved in November went into effect. And the Jasmine Barnes killing, the main suspect of the fatal shooting of a 7-year-old girl from the Houston area, has been charged with capital murder. Mario Batali, he was obviously, if you don't know, was accused of sexual assault allegations. He faced those. And they actually now have just been closed due to lack of evidence. That looks good for him. An 18-year-old Saudi woman who fled her family and flew to Thailand was granted refugee status today, clearing the way for an asylum request. Rahaf Muhammad Al-Kunan said that she feared her family would kill her if she were forced to return to Saudi Arabia. So Bernice Sandler, she was known as the godmother of Title IX, and very important. She was the driving force behind the creation of the Civil Rights Law of 1972 that barred sex discrimination from educational institutions that receive federal funding. She died Saturday at 90. Rest in peace to Bernice Sandler. Godmother of Title IX? Interesting. Interesting from the New York Times section. Shout out to them because they released their annual list of destinations to try in 2019. And number one was Puerto Rico. They're bouncing back, and please go check them out. It's a great place. Absolutely amazing place. So that's all very cool stuff. That seems to be the news for today. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you tomorrow. This has been The Wake Up.